Okay, all in favor of approving December 16th, 2025 meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Any against? Okay, then it's approved. All right, comments or concerns of any person present. Do we have somebody here that's new, or Rachel's anybody coming?
I haven't heard from anybody, so I think it's just us today.
Okay, all right. How about the DCP Investigation Division Complaint Status Report? Is he here? Is there anybody here for that? Is that John?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. John Messner here.
Yeah, hi, John. How are you? All right. So you're going to review the report, which really, I guess everything is basically resolved, but why don't you go over what you have?
I don't have any update. I'm actually, Janita, do you have anything for the Home Inspection Board?
No.
No.
For the show already.
Yeah, so they have it displayed right now. So there's nothing to review. Everything that was there is displayed, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good. Any comments from anybody or any questions? Okay, then we're gonna move on. DCP Legal Division, is something else going to be talked about? John?
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. No, there is nobody here from legal today.
Okay, very good. All right, old business, continued discussion on committee to develop intern program review. You and I spoke about this, John. Where are we with asking for the applications to show us some of the reports or anything like that on the intern program?
So that's going to be a meeting with myself, legal, and yourself, just to kind of go through and decipher, and then we can bring something back to the board. It is a conversation I've had with legal, but that's where it resides as of right now.
Okay, so are you going to set that meeting up, or am I?
I will set that up.
Okay, so I'll be expecting to hear something from you about the date of when we could have a meeting.
Yeah, we're just a little tied up right now with session, but we will get that on ASAP. That is something that's been flagged for them.
Okay. The second thing that we have is review continuing education application process. Right now, the process is Rachel gets them, she gives them to me, and I go over them, similar to what Chairman Willett did. I make sure that the times are on it, and if I see that it meets the outlet and the criteria, we accept it. Right now, we only have one that's pending. Is that right, Rachel?
Hi, Bruce. Yes, there's one pending that I have to go in and send the feedback on this morning. So that'll go through. And it's pronounced Rochelle, not Rachel.
Oh, Rachel. Okay, Rochelle. Rochelle, what, I couldn't open up one of the attachments. There were two attachments for the outline, and one of them wouldn't open, and then the one that did open didn't have a time on it. So I spoke to Mark about that, and I guess you're gonna send feedback. So that's what's going on now. Does anybody else want to talk about anything else about reviewing?
Yeah, Bruce, I have some questions. I was the one that I think maybe raised this previously. I see the spreadsheet that you sent out, and I see there's probably about 20 there's 20 courses listed on here from New York ASHE, CAHI, Cornerstone, National ASHE, which I want to make clear there's a difference between National ASHE and Coastal Connecticut ASHE. So, I can't see from this list what's approved, what's not approved, what's pending. anything like that. And I understand as the chairman, you're involved in reviewing these. But is there any way that we can get any other members of the board involved in the review process, which is what I thought when Chairman Willett was still on the board. I thought that was what we were going to explore. And I think maybe last year I might have gotten a couple of applications to review, but never saw any more after that. I just really think that there should be other board members involved in the review process, or more involvement in where things are or what's coming through. And that's really what the point of bringing this up was.
So we did talk about that, and I thought about it. And the main thing that I'm looking for in these courses is that it pertains to home inspections. So if it's a subject matter that, I don't think is related to home inspections, that's the main objective of, I think, these these courses should be. Now, what I find is that we only meet 4 times a year, and at certain times, someone, and you should be aware of this, is that people want to get these courses approved in a timely manner. And the problem is that when we start passing them around and we have other people reviewing them and looking at them, it's going to make it more timely. It's going to make it more, it's going to take more time up. And I don't know if there's really any advantage of that at this point, because very few get, very few we're saying don't get approved, and there aren't that many. And I think that probably the majority of them that do get approved, are certainly meet the criteria. So that's my only, concern, is that if we start getting a lot of people involved, does it help the process or does it hurt it?
Yeah, I
Okay,
just want to.
Steve.
Yeah, I really don't agree with you. I think that as a board, if we split them up, as long as we have the criteria in front of us, there's no reason why each of us can't review 5 of them and approve them or not approve them or send them back. I don't really believe that should be the responsibility of the chairman to take on all of that stuff. I told Larry that, and I thought maybe we would be able to change that. We're all smart enough to be able to look and see if it meets the criteria, and that would make it more timely, and that it could get approved because it was sent to a different person who was able to approve it. What's the point of being on the board if we're not able to do that kind of stuff?
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I do.
Mark,
Bruce.
Mark, what?
One of the things that, and again, I'm not making accusations or anything, but this is an observation, that if you take the associations out, CAHI, Coastal Connecticut, ASHE, the majority of the courses that are being submitted for review here are for-profit businesses. And if you have the approval process going through one person on this board, I just don't think that is a good look for the board. If there was ever any sort of, controversy, it could be a real problem. And I think it's better to have, like Steve said, even if it's just a few others involved, I think there should be more than just one person involved in the review process. And I think it would be easy to put together a criteria. I think we all understand what it is, but to put together just a simple criteria for approval wouldn't be hard to do.
Okay, anybody else comment?
Well, I would just
I
like
don't
to
re-
make, I would just like to
Tim.
make sure there's a time limit that this has to get back to the board or be approved. You can't, like you said, Bruce, you can't have it go on for a week or more. It should be within a 48-hour period that whoever is looking at this looks at it and returns it, doesn't put it off the side because they're busy with home inspections or training or doing other classes or whatever.
Sure.
So I agree with you. It shouldn't be, we shouldn't just jerk around with it. It should be approved or not approved and sent back within a certain amount of time.
Okay, any other comments?
Well, the only thing that I would
Steve?
say is that you don't need the whole board to approve a course. You need the board to approve the criteria, and then each individual who reviews it can figure out whether or not they should approve it, and then it can be approved. You know, let's not waste time waiting to bring it back to the board as a meeting to say, okay, this is fine. If it's a
I don't think
course
that's ever been
on,
said, Steve. No one's ever said
sorry?
that. No one's ever
oh, okay,
saying
I'm
that.
fine. Oh, fine. You're saying that it should be done within so many days. I agree.
Right, so if
None
you're
of
approving,
this-
I'm saying if you're approving the course, you should get it back within a 48-hour period or whatever you set.
Whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
that's
people get
fine.
busy during the spring or whatever, and all of a sudden it gets put off the side or forgotten about.
Well, I'll tell you right now, the one thing that you brought up, Mark, was, you know, if any of the board members are associated with submitting the courses. Now, you know, I don't, you know, at this point, certainly I should not be reviewing anything that I would be submitting. You
Right.
shouldn't be, you know, you shouldn't be reviewing anything you submitted, and Stephen, you shouldn't be reviewing anything that you. So I do think that we somehow should identify, you know, who's associated with what, you know, which organization. And then I have no problem in letting other people review it if we want to give it a try. But again, you know, you know, I know that one of you, I think it was Stephen, that, you know, you're concerned about the chairman, you know, spending the time to do this. This chairmanship, it doesn't involve that much. I'm not doing that much. I run the meetings. Between the meetings, there's very little that gets done. So the concern about taking up some of my time isn't really an issue at this point. But again, we could certainly, you know, try to have some other people review it, but I just need to know who's associated with what so that we don't
Of
have any
course.
conflicts.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Anything else on continuing education process? Okay, we're going on to new business. Anybody have new business? Mark, didn't you want to bring up something, new business
Oh,
about the
the,
legislation?
right. So, yes, I think it's, when the home inspector associations are involved right now in organizing to go back to the legislature to present some sort of case for having a law passed in Connecticut or getting attached to some legislation. I think we feel that it would help to have the support of the board for that legislation even before we have a bill that's moving through, because right now it's a shortened session. We're not going to get anything in this year. It's probably not going to be until next year. But I think what our previous conversation was kind of focused on was, you know, is it possible to get board support so that as we're moving forward, we can say, hey, the licensing board is on board with this as well. And I mean, this is something that impacts all of us. So I think it's critical.
Okay, so as a board, we're trying to protect consumers in the home inspection industry. And if there is any bill, why doesn't somebody make a motion about what we would back?
Well, if that's, I mean, I'll make a motion stating that the board should support the messaging that the associations have put together to present to the legislation or the legislators to get a bill moving forward. We've done a lot of work in putting together what we want to see in a bill, but there's different approaches to it. But I think if that's, you know, the motion that we're looking for to get on with, I'm happy to do that.
I think it can't be a bill that's not in front of us that we look at. So I think if you want to put a motion in front of us that says we're in favor of, you know, a bill that would say that you can't waive a home inspection, because I think that's consumer protection. I think we're protecting the consumer. Then we could, we could make maybe a motion that would, that we could get behind but it's only a general. I mean, otherwise you really need to, these organizations should come up with, some legislation and send it to us, and then we could say, okay, we're in favor of the whole bill. So Stephen, you're muted, Stephen. We can't hear you, Stephen. So do you understand what I'm saying, Mark?
Yeah, I understand, Bruce, and we could get into a long conversation about the mechanics of all of this and what we went through last year. And there's not going to be, in my opinion, I think it's going to be challenging to get a specific bill that's going to get presented that's going to support the right to a home inspection in Connecticut. I think what we ended up with last year was we were trying to get language inserted into a housing bill or some other similar bill that would get the support of the legislation and then move through and then, get voted on. So whether it's going to be a specific bill or not, or if it's just going to be language inserted into a bill, we don't know right now.
Right. That's why I'm saying if you make a motion saying that the board is in favor of any language used in any bill that represents the non-waiving of an inspection, or, that they can't waive
Okay.
an inspection, the board is in favor of.
All right. I can make that motion?
Yeah,
All
you
right,
can make the motion.
I'd like to make a motion that in the coming year or next year that the licensing board is in support of any language or a bill that is proposed or presented to the legislator for approval that would protect the right to a home inspection for consumers in Connecticut. Because as our core responsibility as home inspectors is to protect the consumer, there's a relevance there.
Okay, anybody second that?
I'll
Okay,
second
Steve, you second it. Any discussion? Anybody like to discuss? Steve, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I guess I want to think about that for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine, Derek.
Yeah, so just a couple of broad concepts here. Like, okay, a board like ours, there is a huge difference between, reacting to pending legislation and then advancing legislation, right? And if you get to the beginning of a session and a bill that is germane or relevant to a board's charge surfaces, you generally have an opportunity to hopefully meet during that window of time that is important to consider whether you're going to put forward written testimony or you send the chairman to go to the hearing to, actually provide in-person testimony. Call a meeting if you need to make sure that everybody on that board has an opportunity to digest what's being discussed. That's kind of the right way to handle that. If, in the alternative, you're wanting to actively advance legislation, there's a couple of things that are important to that. One is, I think the chairman needs to have a conversation with the germane state agency office, legislative liaison. That person should maybe have an opportunity to check with the governor's office. There's a few protocol rules that go with that. And finally, if what we're discussing here is, a motion that's on the table to, as a general matter, always be actively supportive of legislative language that would protect the consumer's right to have a home inspection, that seems broad enough as to almost be meaningless, right? There needs to be some specificity, I think, for me to want to be supportive of a measure, so that I know that it is not just sort of oblique, but has some specificity and precision to it. You know, things are, the consumer has rights until government takes them away. And if what we're talking about with more granularity is the ability for the right to waive a home inspection, I think the consumer is always going to have that opportunity to waive a home inspection if he or she is a buyer of a home, right? So I'm sorry to have dropped a lot of things there, but I'm
No,
just
that's
trying
all
to keep
right,
up.
Derek. My understanding is that that language cannot be in a sales contract. They always have the right to not have a home inspection. But what they've done, I think in Mass, if I'm correct, is that it can't be part of the contract. It can't be if the seller decides that they want to put in the contract that you, in order to, you know, have the accepted offer, you have to waive your home inspection.
Oh, okay,
Then
all right. So let me just
That's-
parrot that back. I think what I'm hearing is a seller puts a home on the market and includes in the listing that they will not accept offers from potential buyers who are requiring a home inspection. Is that
Not in the listing, but in the agreements that says that if your offer is going to be accepted, you should waive your home inspection so that your offer will go to the front of the line.
Oh, that's just negotiation. You don't have to accept. I
Well,
mean that.
But it puts the buyer at a disadvantage.
Okay.
What, can you
I won't
hear me
disagree
now?
with that. Yeah.
And
Well,
we're not
I'll-
mandating, it's not mandating it wouldn't be mandating that a home inspection has to be done. It just gives the buyer the opportunity to say, yes, I want one, or no, I don't want one. And again, I just want to backtrack a little bit too, that I don't know if we're necessarily asking that the chairman go out and campaign for this legislation to be put forward. I mean, if that was something he wanted to do, that would be fine. I think what we're looking for is just a statement in support of what the associations are working to try to get done in the state. You know, I don't think it would require going to the, you know, there's lobbyists that are involved in things like that the associations have, you know, taken on, but similar to what they did in Massachusetts. But yeah, I don't think we'd be looking for the chairman to go and testify or go to the governor or anything like that.
Certainly not. Not with something like this. No, this is
No.
way too. Yeah. Certainly not. I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only thing I think this could achieve for us is if we're all in agreement that we don't want, you know, legislation that would, you know, would be in favor of waiving inspections, but instead saying that they can't include that in their legislation, that all of us are in agreement. So if this ever comes up in the future where one of the boards or associations are trying to pass a law, that I could get, you know, I wouldn't be calling each one of you and saying, look, are you in favor of this or not in favor? We've just made a statement, and I understand that if they contact me or wanted me to testify or you know, approached us, that we're all in agreement. If we don't have a statement like this, then Derek's right. I would have to solicit the board and say, look, they've contacted us. They're, you know, trying to get a bill passed, and are you in favor or not? Now, if we have a meeting, that's fine. We could all discuss it. But if it's, you know, again, we're only meeting 4 times a year. I don't know how fast this moves or when it's needed. But if we don't have this all in agreement, then that will be the process in the interim, that we would need a majority of us to say, yeah, we're behind it. Steve, what
Can
do
you
you have to
hear me
say?
now?
Yeah, Steve, now we hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
because I lost the microphone for some reason. We're making this too complicated. All I was suggesting was that the board is in favor of people getting home inspections, and that legislation against home inspections should not be favorable. We shouldn't do anything that is going to take away the right of someone to have an inspection, not to mandate inspections, but simply to have one. The problem is, for years, and we all know it, people have used the home inspection as a negotiation tool. And what's happened now is about the only thing they're allowed to do with home inspections is health and safety. I don't really care if they negotiate for the price of the house, but I want them to be able to have an inspection and not have some realtor tell them, you can't have an inspection, or some seller say, I don't want an inspector to come in the house. That's anti-consumer protection. So if we're the board of the Department of Consumer Protection, I think we should be in support of home inspections not being waived. And give people the right, they can always waive it, but not let anyone else be able to waive it.
Okay,
I'll
any other
just offer-
comments on this?
Yeah, I'll just
Does the-
offer that I think if a bill does surface that,
Your phone number for a home inspection. We need one for.
I don't-
termite as well.
I'm not sure that legislative review would find something that enables a seller to include in a contract a provision that bars a home inspection. I'm not sure legislation in that regard would be seen as constitutional under the Commerce Clause, but you know, I'm mindful that Stephen's probably right. We may be making this harder than we should be.
What exactly got approved in Mass? Is anybody familiar with that bill?
They have the right to have an inspection. They have the right within so many days to have an inspection, regardless of what is going on. Now, that doesn't say that they can negotiate for a lower price. It just gives them the right to have an inspection. And if the inspection is not to their pleasure, they can walk away from the deal. That's all.
So the legislation basically says that they have the right, whether it's in a contract or not.
Yeah, it survives.
I don't think it's ever in a contract. I think it's just the realtors are influencing people. If there's 12 people bidding on a house, they're saying, you're not going to get this house unless you waive the inspection. So what they'll tell the seller is, we've waived the inspection. You don't have to worry about it. They're just going to do a walkthrough, maybe or not.
So does that bill prevent realtors from saying that?
You can't prevent realtors from saying anything.
Exactly. Right. Right.
But it gives people the right, legally, they have the right to have a home inspection. And that's all we're talking about here, is giving them within so many days of signing the contract or putting a binder down, whatever the deal is, they have the right to have the house inspected.
All right. Again.
Are we in support of that?
All right. So let me be clear, Derek. Are you saying that we shouldn't, that you don't feel that it's of use to do something like this? For the board to support any comment?
No, I don't feel like I have enough experience in this field to try to advance that strong of an opinion. I think it's a little bit silly personally. I think it kind of messes with the markets, and you know, I can see that situation that Steve's describing where, you know, there's a lot of interest in a property, there's 12 offers, and you know, an agent tries to use the home inspection as a negotiating tool. But I'm not going to stand in the way of this. I think I have no further comments, but thank you.
Okay, so let's clarify, Mark, your motion, that you're making a motion to,
I'm making a motion to ask that the licensing board support any language or effort that the home inspectors or associations would try to advance to get this legislation passed.
Making it too complicated.
Well, Steve, make a motion then, Steve. You know, if you can do it more eloquently, I'm trying to.
Steve, well, how do you think it should be worded?
I think it should be just simply that the licensing board supports the concept that home inspections should not be waived. That people should have the right to a home inspection. It doesn't matter what the associations are. We're just saying that we're in support of people having the right to have a home inspection, period.
Okay.
Well, Steve,
If
they
that's
have that
gonna-
now.
Huh?
Steve,
They have
Steve,
that
not to
now.
split hairs,
They have a right now to have a home inspection. But we all know.
No,
what
they
hap-
don't.
Yes, they do. Legally, they
what-
do. But we all know what happens. So my point, I agree with what you're saying, Steve, but I think what you're saying isn't gonna, I mean, I'm all in favor of making sure that home inspections are given if they wish to have it. But we all know what happens is the realtor says, well, if you really want this house, you should waive it because all the other ones are waiving it. And you're the first time home buyer and you don't have as much money as these other people are putting in $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over asking price. So if you waive your home inspection, you have a better chance of getting the home. And I don't think
Exactly.
maybe he's not totally understanding what's happening in the market because, you get 10 offers and everyone's willing to waive the home inspection and offer $50,000 more. And you get that poor first-time home buyer, he's out of luck. And how many times have they looked at homes and they keep missing them out because they're kind of leery about going into a home for the first time and not having a home inspection and don't have the revenue to repair it if all of a sudden a septic tank is gone or the roof's got to get replaced or there's mold in the basement. They're kind of leery about doing that. So they want a home inspection and they're not going to get the home because everyone else is waiving it. If it wasn't part of the contract, they don't decide if they want a home inspection until after the offer is accepted. That would make it a whole lot. That I don't know if that's legal or if they could do that, but that makes sense to me. Is they're not allowed to. That's not even part of the negotiation of a home being purchased. It should be discussed after the home has a contract. Do I want a home inspection or don't want a home inspection?
I think this board is not going to change the way that, real estate is done at this point. And I think that even if, let's say if a realtor came to somebody and said, if you want the house, you're going to have to waive your home inspector, your inspection, and that the buyer is never going to say, well, the home inspection board thinks that you shouldn't waive it. That's not going to happen. So the only reason for this whole thing is that we're supporting legislation that will try to not have somebody exclude a home inspection. But whether that comes to fruition or not, that's the only reason this statement is used at this point. That they're going to say it, if some legislation comes through, they're going to say either they're going to contact us or they'll contact me and they'll say, can you, help support this bill that has language in it that, consumers can't, don't waive their home inspection. So I'm not sure either how much what we're talking about is helpful to the people trying to get the legislation through. But that's, I think, the reason you brought that up, Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, more or less, yes.
Yeah. All right. Any other discussion here?
I just think at the end of the day, we can't bar the home inspection from being waived. We can't. No legislation is going to. As long as buyers have the right to a home inspection, to negotiate and urge for but I don't know that anything that did the Massachusetts law in its final form preclude parties from waiving a home inspection, because I wonder whether or not that would.
Excuse me.
How about if we table this until we bring up?
1 second, Bruce.
Why don't we
Can I just
table
read
it?
this?
Yeah, sure.
This is the law supposedly. As of
Yeah.
October 15th, new Massachusetts law under the Affordable Home Act prohibits sellers and agents from forcing buyers to waive or restricting their right to a home inspection. It prohibits accepting offers that waive inspections to protect buyers and ensure a fair, safe purchasing process.
Repeat that last
So-
sentence. Prohibits what? Prohibits what?
Prohibits accepting so the seller cannot prohibit accepting offers that waive inspections to protect the buyers and ensure a fair, safe purchasing process.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can get, yeah, that makes,
Well,
that makes sense.
the thing is, we all know what a realtor says. If you really want this house, you really should waive it. I'm not telling you to, but if you really want it, you're better off waiving it. That's exactly what realtors tell me all the time. They say.
How about if we say something like we're in favor of similar terminology used in the Massachusetts legislation?
I think
Steve,
you just
again,
wait until a bill gets proposed, but I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I think we're all in favor of something being done to help the consumer.
yeah, okay. Steve,
To protect the
you're,
consumer.
yeah.
I think
All
that
right,
works, Bruce.
What's that?
I think what you said, I think would be acceptable.
If we all are in agreement that we would be in favor of something similar to the terminology used in the Massachusetts legislation.
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
All right.
Mhm.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor? Aye.
Hold 1 second. Sorry. You guys already had a motion and a second on the table, so you'll have to withdraw that motion. And
Okay.
then
So
make the
Mark, do you
motion, please.
withdraw the first one?
I'm withdrawing the motion that I made earlier.
Okay. And your new motion is?
New motion is that the board support language similar to the legislation that was passed in Massachusetts.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Second, Steve seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against? Okay, so it's passed. All right, very good. All right, let me, all right.
Can't hear you, Steve.
All right, somebody has some feedback here. All right, let's go on. Let's go on with the agenda. We're at new business correspondence. Do we have any correspondence? I guess
I did not
not.
see any.
Okay, comments or concerns of any person present? All right, somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Steve seconds. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Before we drop, can I just ask, was there a continuation hearing on a disciplinary matter that is still pending, or that finally get resolved?
There's a continuance and they've, Rachel, you want, Rochelle, would you want to, talk about that?
Yeah, so the continuance is rescheduled to April 22nd. So I sent out the invite the other day, but I can resend it if you haven't gotten it
No,
either.
that's fine.
but
I'll look up April 22nd. Okay.
April 22nd at 9 a.m.
All right.
So-
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Rochelle, I have a, Derek, were you on the first part of that complaint?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so everybody understand that? Okay, very good.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Have
All
a good
right,
day.
meeting adjourned.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.